This is TechCrunch.
Microsoft bets a carbon removal bake-off will help offset its skyrocketing AI emissions. I'm Imran Sheikh, and get ready because it's time for your Daily Crunch for Saturday, starting with 3 big headlines. X, Elon Musk's social media company, has sued to block California law AB 2655, which requires large online platforms to remove or label AI deepfakes related to elections. X argues that the law, also known as the Defending Democracy from Deepfake Deception Act of 2024, will lead to widespread censorship of political speech. There is a long history of the strongest of First Amendment protections for speech critical of government officials and candidates for public office that includes tolerance for potentially false speech made in the context of such criticisms. A complaint filed late Thursday in Sacramento federal court reads, AB 2655 imposes other requirements on platforms that X finds onerous, including establishing channels to report political deepfakes and a mechanism to allow candidates and elected officials to seek injunctive relief if a platform isn't complying with the act. The suit comes weeks after a federal judge temporarily blocked a related California deepfakes law to ban deceptive campaign ads online. Bluesky said yesterday that over 1 million people signed up for the platform in the last 24 hours, making it one of the busiest days for the company. This also meant the social network crossed the mark of 16 million users overall. The platform's announcement comes hours after Instagram head Adam Mosseri said that Threads had seen more than 15 million signups in November. He added that the Meta-owned platform has had 1 million signups a day for the last 3 months. Bluesky also faced some teething issues Thursday as service went down for some users because one of the company's ISPs had a cable issue that got clubbed with other networking snafus, according to a Bluesky developer. The decentralized social network has seen a steady inflow of users in the last few months, with different events like X's ban in Brazil, moderation issues on Threads, and the recent election results in the U.S. Ex-owner Elon Musk was a prominent supporter of President-elect Donald Trump, and the social networking service, formerly known as Twitter, often promoted pro-Trump viewpoints in users' algorithmic feeds. After the results of the U.S. presidential election, more than 1 million new people signed up on the platform in a week, Bluesky said Tuesday. At the time of recording, the sign-up surge on Bluesky in the last 24 hours also placed the app at the top of the free apps chart on the App Store in the U.S., followed by ChatGPT and Threads. Microsoft is in a pickle. It has committed to being carbon negative by 2030, but its emissions have skyrocketed more than 40% since 2020, thanks in part to its booming AI business. The company has bought a bunch of renewable power, but some emissions, like air travel, have been impossible to eliminate. What's a big tech firm to do? One option is direct air capture, DAC, the process of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Microsoft has been a large investor in DAC through both equity checks in startups and committing to buying carbon credits in advance. But DAC is still in its infancy, with startups taking many different approaches in an attempt to find the cheapest, most efficient path. To speed things along, Microsoft announced today that, along with the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, it's pre-purchasing 10,000 metric tons of carbon over 10 years from Bluesky, a DAC project developer. Unlike other DAC projects, which focus on one technology, Bluesky is hosting a bake-off of sorts, welcoming 8 startups to its site in Alberta, Canada, to see which one can do it best. The 8 startups will all get space near a well into which they'll inject the captured carbon dioxide. Power to run their operations will all come from the same source, too. The shared approach should make it easier for startups to focus on what they do best, remove carbon, and not have to worry about the rest. Bluesky is procuring solar power through a third party, and it is handling permitting for carbon storage. Finding suitable sites for storage is one of the limiting factors for any carbon removal and storage project. Bluesky told Bloomberg that the project should be up and running by April and that Microsoft and RBC will start receiving carbon credits by June. By DAC standards, that's a pretty quick timeline. It won't be enough to avert adverse warming, but if Deep Sky can find a winner, it might help pull the climate out of its current nosedive. And here's your startup news for the weekend. American drone manufacturer Skydio has raised an extension round of $170 million, adding to the $230 million Series E it closed early last year. The new tranche of funding brings in strategic investors like Japanese telecom operator KDDI and Axon, the creator of the Taser and other police tech. It also includes previous investors like Lindsay Capital, which owns more than 21% of the drone maker. The new funding comes at a time when defense tech funding is booming, with deals in the sector receiving over $9.1 billion on the first half of 2024, according to PitchBook. And speaking of defense tech, significant changes are coming to ABL Space Systems. The leader of the 7-year-old startup took to social media last night to make a big announcement. The company will no longer be focusing on the commercial launch market, but will be turning instead to missile defense. ABL had been developing a small launch vehicle called RS-1 and a mobile ground system designed to fit inside a shipping container, with aspirations to bring truly portable, responsive launch to the market for the first time. To that end, the startup invested substantial capital into developing tech in-house, including a novel rocket engine and infrastructure, 2 factories, and a launch site across 3 different states. And that's your Daily Crunch. Today's stories were reported by Ivan Mehta and Kyle Wiggers and produced by Spoken Layer. We'll see you here next week, and until then, find us at TechCrunch.com.